It is a Falls Friday night playoff edition. I'm Jonathan Hull, sports writer for Times Record News. Alongside here is Zach Duncan, Red River Roundup. You see him kind of dark with the light shining on him over there on the left. Nolan Clark, who we're going to keep off camera because he's in the same vehicle as Zach and is driving right now, so we don't want Nolan too distracted by everything. But he is listening. You'll be able to hear him talk and stuff. Those guys are making their way back from
Alito.
Alito tonight.
We were in Alito.
Graham and Godley, yeah. Weatherford, Alito, it's all the same, right? Well, I guess anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. I got friends in Weatherford. Me myself, I made it home. I was in Jacksboro tonight, watched Vernon look very impressive with the win over Clyde. We're going to get into those games and more on this by-district edition of Fall Friday Night. Real quick, though, we got to do this. We got to thank our sponsors. Always grateful for them. Start right here, Arrowhead Roofing. For more than 25 years, Arrowhead Roofing has been Texoma's trusted name for roofing, siding, gutters, and more. Local families count on Arrowhead to protect what matters most, their homes. When storms hit or it's time for an upgrade, call the team Texoma has relied on since 1999. Arrowhead Roofing, the exterior experts. And Macaulay Landscapes. For 21 years, Macaulay Landscapes has been keeping Wichita Falls beautiful. Whether it's keeping your yard green and healthy or transforming your outdoor space, Macaulay Landscapes has the experience and care you can count on. Visit MacaulayLandscapes.com to learn more about their full range of services. Macaulay Landscapes, making Wichita Falls look its best since 2003. All right, thanks to both of those companies for sponsoring this thing. And man, we are as remote as it gets with you guys. Where are you guys at right now?
We just went through Bowie a little bit ago, so we should be pulling up on Bellevue soon. I feel like we'd be already home if Nolan had taken us through some winding roads through Boyd. From Alito to Boyd was a little off the chains. We were going through some gravel, but anyways, we're heading back. We're good. Nolan's actually doing a great job driving. We were in Alito tonight. Saw Graham win 32-0 over Godley, and they were supposed to win that game. I felt like they were probably, I kind of expected a 14, 20-point, win by the Steers. Pretty impressive. They scored their first 5 possessions. It was 24 at half. It was a game that didn't have a lot of possessions, but Jay Skill led a couple nice drives. Also, he kicked a 30-yard field goal. Didn't know he could kick. Graham's defense was in total control. I think Godley threatened at one point. It was 14-0, and Godley was threatening second quarter. Had like a 3rd and 1 from the 5, and then Graham went back sack into that drive, and then that was all she wrote. So I think we expected Graham to win this game. They're going to be playing Lubbock Cooper Liberty, the new Lubbock Cooper ISD school, next Friday, 6 p.m. at Shotwell. And I think that's our real test for the Steers. Lubbock Cooper's a district champ. They're 10-1. But yeah, I think a great start for the playoffs for Graham. We had a lot of games that we won tonight. Obviously, we'll talk about them and the couple that didn't go our area's way. But 6-3A had a nice sweep of City View, Jacksboro, Henrietta Holiday all winning. Windthorst took care of business. Vernon and Graham, as we both saw, were pretty dominant in those games. So I think overall it was a pretty good night for our area.
Yeah, I was in Jacksboro, as mentioned, watching Vernon, and man, this was a Vernon team that felt and looked back at full strength. They hadn't been that in a while. They've really run the gamut of injuries there to where, Ty Scott felt like he was just really leading and shouldering so much of that offense. But that's a team with a lot of weapons, man. When they are healthy, they have speed all over the field. Tice Payne got back first time. He's been healthy in several weeks. He did play last week against Peaster, but, Coach Sherrill said after the game, yeah, we had some guys play against Peaster last week for the first time in a long time, but they weren't themselves. They just, first game back, they've, been through just a couple practices that didn't feel like they were themselves. So, it does. It takes time to get your legs back under you. That's expected. This is football. That shouldn't surprise anyone. No excuse at the same time. They went out there, and Peaster's a really good team, and who knows what that game would be if they were healthy. We hope to find out in a couple of weeks, though. But Tice Payne went nuts. I mean, 9 for 164 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had a 91-yard touchdown in the final minute of the second quarter. I thought they were just going to kneel the ball. And so I asked Coach Sherrill about that play, and he said, it's like, let's just hand it off to him and see if he can bust one. Boom. There he went, 91 yards later, broke off a couple of tackles. He's just a big, fast, strong kid. And then you throw in Jamari Chance and the speed there, and True Gibson, the first time we've really seen him back there carrying the ball more than just a couple of times, I think since City View. And then, of course, Ty Scott. Vernon defense was as good as it has been really all year. Yeah, that's a team we felt that could potentially win that region, could challenge that region, and they looked the part tonight. And, they got Peaster in 2 weeks, and they weren't mincing words here. They want Peaster. Like how they lost to Peaster last week, that stunk. I'm not going to say that they're looking ahead of Denver City next week. They got to go. That's going to be a long road trip out the canyon. They got to take care of that. But Peaster's already kind of circled in 2 weeks on that Vernon schedule. They're ready to go again. I appreciate that. A lot of times we get that jump around, and coaches want to give you, we can't look past any opponent. We got to be ready to play each week, and the coach speak, right? No, we're getting that. We're getting the truth here. It's like we want Peaster, and that's who's coming up. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to let Nolan unmute his phone and tell us. He doesn't have to talk about Graham so much, but man, what has stood out to you about this week of first week of playoffs?
Yeah, I think there's one score from my coverage area that was kind of an upset, I guess, if you count it, and that was Callisburg out in that 3A Division II Region 2 bracket. They upset Cedar Hill Trinity Leadership Academy. That was a 4-1 matchup. Not only did they upset them, they took them out behind the woodshed tonight. I believe the final score was 62-30. So that now sets up a Callisburg Henrietta matchup next week. So that's going to be you have a third place Henrietta team and a fourth place Callisburg team who is going to be playing next week to play into Thanksgiving. So I don't think a lot of people had that one predicted. But obviously I'm driving. I don't have the scoreboard in front of me. Another big game that y'all went to last night as well, that was kind of an upset according to predictions. I'll let y'all touch on that one more. But that was Quanah avenging their September loss to Petrolia last night. We saw more running back run wild. And, the Quanah Indians are moving on. They will get
Yeah, let Zach get back on, and let's talk about Quanah and Petrolia, because both of us wrote about Lexton Reese last night. I finished mine early this morning. What that sophomore did last night, and listen, there was I printed 540, around 540 rushing yards between 4 players last night. Those guys were going nuts between Lexton Reese, Nick Gonzalez. For Quanah, you had Brody Jackson and Kason G from Petrolia. All 4 of those guys had huge nights running the ball, and Lexton Reese still absolutely stole the show. 395 yards, touchdowns, plus he threw 4 touchdowns as well. Just an incredible kind of that breakout game for that sophomore.
Yeah, and he's had a couple of bigger games this year. But I think there's been some times where they haven't needed him to carry the ball 25 times. I mean, he'll have 12 carries for 160 yards, and Nick Gonzalez will have 10 carries for 130, and they'll call it a day. The way this game went, and people see the final score and they go, that's a blowout. And it ended up being a blowout, but it was a really good first half. I think we had 5 touchdowns in the first 10 minutes. Back and forth, it's 28 all at one point, and we're thinking it's going to go into halftime. And then Quanah scores on a 35-yard run. Either team's very good at throwing the ball. So Quanah getting that touchdown right before the half was pretty big. And then they got a stop to start the third quarter. Petrolia drove like 4 or 5 minutes off the clock, got down there, turned it over on downs. The next thing you know, boom, Reese, 56 yards touchdown. And then Petrolia drove the ball down the field again. Maybe if they score that next drive, they're still in the game. It's a one-score game. They got to stop again. Boom. Reese, 74-yard touchdown. And then at that point, Reese is up to 300-something yards. Petrolia's down by 20. They're not built to come back from a 20-point deficit. So it really got away from Petrolia, I felt like, just because they needed to match score for score with Quanah, and they didn't. I saw Reese last year against Windthorst as a freshman. They were overmatched, but I was like, this guy's going to be pretty good. My story kind of centered around Quanah's had so many great running backs. I think he's the next one. I talked to one of the ones that has been a good running back, one of the Hill brothers. The Hill brothers had like 3 really good running backs in their family. And this guy was like, yeah, he may end up being the best of all of them. So, yeah, Quanah's going to get an Albany team that's definitely going to be the favorite next week. Last we heard that might be in Holiday. May depend on the Holiday, game as well, which we just got word. Holiday's playing Leonard. We're breaking coaching pairings on this show. Holiday Leonard, 7 p.m. Thursday at Denton, Collins Stadium. Jacksboro's playing at Collins Stadium on Friday. So if you live in the Denton area and you're like, hey, I'd like to see a couple area teams, you don't have to leave Denton. You can just hang out there and go. But anyways, Quanah, great win for Quanah. And even if they lose to Albany next week, a big turnaround season. They'll finish by like 6-6. And a lot of those guys, they'll miss Nick Gonzalez, they'll miss some seniors, but they still have some guys coming back that are going to, show a lot of potential for next year. So big win last night. That was fun. No games went down to the wire tonight. No one-score games. I think the game we talked about that had maybe the most intrigue was Memorial Andress. And as a Memorial coach, and I know how much those guys work, I was bummed they took the 28-14 loss. I was kind of watching it a little bit before my game kicked off. Memorial turned the ball over twice in the first half. They got inside the 5 twice and didn't get any points. Once they fumbled inside the 5 when it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then they got down there when they were down 14-0 and couldn't punch it in, turn it over on downs. So that it's a hard trip there. Andress obviously was a solid team. And I think Memorial ended up losing 28-14. They got down 21-0 third quarter and got within 21-14 mid-fourth and just needed another stop. Didn't get it. I know every team loses. You lose some great high school careers. That's tough for like an Eric Powell and a Joe Castles and some of those other guys to go out that way. But still a strong season, a 7-win season. Make the playoffs in that district, so I think pretty impressive. But besides Memorial and a couple 6-man teams, a very winning night for us around the area.
Yeah, I'm going to address two comments on the thing right now. This one first. Vernon is playing Denver City. That is TBA, but it does look pretty close to set, being 7 p.m. Thursday in Canyon next week for that area round game. And then the other one here, a guy asking, Tony Alcantar asking, have they decided when and where for Quanah Albany? Zach just mentioned it. They're thinking Holiday on Friday or Thursday.
I think so. I want to say I think since they were waiting to get the Holiday game set, and the Holiday game just got set 5-10 minutes ago. So I would think since Holiday's playing Thursday, they'll probably go Friday. But I'm not going to text while I'm on the show and he's driving. But I bet we'll find out pretty soon after we get off air that it's going to be probably in Holiday. It sounded like Holiday and just kind of depended what day Holiday was playing on. So
we're going to have we're going to effort. We're going to be working constantly. Zach, Nolan, myself, all 3 of us are going to be working to get pairings and the next round schedule going as we can. We do know a few as they sit right now. Real quick, though, I want to comment about Memorial and El Paso, Andress. And I know that the Memorial people are tired of me saying this already. It is the first time an El Paso team has beaten a Wichita Falls team ever. Previously, they had the record was 16-0-1 in favor of Wichita Falls. Going into it, the one was the first time that they met back in 1930, did I say 39 or 37? Wichita Falls High and El Paso Austin tied 7-7 in that game. I have a little recap of it on my Facebook page. But Yeah, that's a big win for Andrews. That's a big win for El Paso. You know, when if you know El Paso schools and you've seen what happens with them, when one El Paso school wins or makes any kind of playoff run, the entire town, the entire city really gets behind them and starts pushing it out there because they don't get a lot of that, especially in football. You know, a few years ago when Canutillo made those couple of runs deep into the playoffs, that really set off just the whole town, the whole city of El Paso just went nuts for that and really rally behind their guys. And so I know it's special out there I know it's special out there as I know Zach and Nolan. I think they ran into some bad spots. Looked like we lost Nolan for a little bit there. Zach you're still on with us, Zach, though. Asked again, Vernon.
Yeah, we're getting close to Henrietta.
So there you go. Vernon will be at Happy State Bank. Yes, so somebody asked that. That's where they plan to have that game. Let me get Nolan back here on the page. Windthorst Lindsay being asked about that. We don't know yet. Windthorst will be playing Lindsay next round. We haven't found that one out yet. I know Mike Ruschenberg is always watching this show and commenting. So hey, Ruschenberg, if you hear about that one, go ahead and comment. Let us know. Several games that we are, but this is something that we're going to be. This is what
Bowie would make. Bowie would make sense for that, but I think there's one team that would rather not play in Bowie. I suggested St. Joe as an option. That seems kind of halfway if we need to go. Probably not St. Joe. Last year they played in Boyd. So last year, if y'all remember, Windthorst had to rally to win that game. Lindsay was up, I think, double digits at time. And Windthorst kind of had to score and then hold Lindsay off driving at the end of that game. So that game, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good games, I think, next week. But that game kind of looks on paper to be a pretty good game. Windthorst with a huge win tonight. I haven't seen the stats. I saw we got a stat email. I just figured they took care of business. I'm sure Brock Belcher threw for like 300 yards and 6 touchdowns. We're down in that game. I looked up at one point, and they were down 8-6. And I wasn't worried because I figured that would be turned around really quickly. But Clarendon did score to go up 8-6 in that game. So,
give Clarendon credit. They seem to have found something late in their season. That's a team that's been down for a couple of years, but that's a team that we're not necessarily used to being down either, right? I mean, Clarendon's got a fairly proud program who were contending for regional titles not that long ago. You know, they were the team to beat in that district and region not that long ago. I mean, just a few years ago. So
yeah, they beat a Quanah team that I was kind of impressed with last night. So I think Quanah had a lot of turnovers that game. I heard Quanah had a lot of turnovers that game, and so that makes sense. But yeah, so Windthorst was a good win. Windthorst Lindsay, I think, should be pretty fun. We do have an area game in Burke next week. Is it Munster and Wheeler or Wellington?
Munster and Wellington. Munster
Wellington's going to be in Burke. We heard something like Burnett and West Plains may be in Iowa Park. Rumor on that street. There's gonna be games if you don't want to drive out to follow any of these area teams. There's gonna be some options in town to cover to check out some games as well. So
Mike Ruschenberg letting us know that volleyball impacts the Windthorst game decision, which makes a lot of sense. Of course, Windthorst volleyball team playing for a state title game, state championship game bid tomorrow, and so yeah, big volleyball matches tomorrow. So we can talk about that too.
Yeah, so if they win volleyball tomorrow, that pairing may not be set up till maybe after the volleyball game. Nakona and Windthorst play tomorrow for state title games. Someone got pulled over in Henrietta. That sucks.
Thanks for that. We got the traffic report going here.
Yeah, we got the traffic reports going on. Gas is $2.99 at the pilot station over here. But yeah, so Nakona and Windthorst are playing for volleyball chances to play in the state title games. And then St. Joe tonight, I saw some St. Joe guys at the QT in the Decatur. St. Joe had a big playoff win over Harold, and so St. Joe is moving on as well.
Oh, they put that off. Okay.
Yeah, they swept them. Yeah, and I didn't even talk to the people. They seemed to, they were at the checkout, but I was like, oh, hey, y'all must have come from the volleyball game. 6-man wise, we have 2 6-man teams left standing as well. Benjamin killed Aspermont very quickly tonight. That game was at Benjamin. I'm sure Aspermont spent a lot of time getting to Benjamin and not a lot of time playing. And then Newcastle won 73-0. So congrats to them. A couple of six-man teams had tough matchups and lost. Northside lost yesterday to Valley. We thought that was going to maybe be a pretty good game. And I think it was one of those things like one team had a lot of playoff experience. One team was making their first playoff appearance in more than a decade. I'm guessing that inexperience showed. So yeah, we have I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we have Vernon Graham, Quanah, Windthorst, Holiday, Henrietta, City View, Jacksboro. Jacksboro had a 41-20 win over Toller, and that game was close for a while. Credit to Jacksboro for pulling away there, but the Tigers. So we have potentially still a couple area round matchups next week that'll be pretty good. Like Holiday, Jacksboro still on the table for a couple more weeks. We got to talk about Seaview Brady. Seaview beat Brady
Close
tonight. I
game
think
for
it
a while,
was,
yeah.
yeah, I think they won 30-12, but they may have been down at that game. That game was close most of the way. Um, I felt like, and having never seen any of these teams play, that Brady was the best team in that district. They kind of got a little unlucky not to win the district outright. So I feel like Brady was a tough matchup for City View, whereas I felt like Clifton was a good matchup for Henrietta. Henrietta with a huge win, 54-7 over Clifton. And that's Henrietta's first win in a little while because even when Michael Johnson had some of those good teams the last couple of years, he was there. They lost in the first round of the playoffs to Comanche a couple times. They lost, a couple heartbreakers there. So I'll have to look. But Henrietta's first win in like maybe 4 or 5 years in the playoffs. And like my chauffeur said over here, Nolan, a manageable second round game as well. But so the score didn't surprise me because I thought really early could score some on Holiday, and that was what was that final score? 56-30, I think, right?
50
Um
to 30, yeah, 50-36. I thought. Maybe,
50
yeah.
36. And that game was close for a while. And Holiday, I think, had a couple big plays to put some separation in, and they got stopped right before half. And I think they were up 42-22 at half. And I'm sure at that point they just kind of did their thing in the second half. But yeah, so Holiday had kind of a tough win. Only about the third time a one seed from our area has won, or a four seed has beaten a one seed. Vernon did it once a long time ago, and Windthorst did it once a long time ago. So Holiday's team this year, I know they're not happy about losing three straight, but they also made a little positive history tonight by being the third area team to win as a four seed. And they're going to get a Leonard team with the same record and probably not near as hard of a strength of schedule. So, I mean, I would think Holiday next week, you still got to be healthy. You still got to play well. But I think Holiday's got a decent chance to be playing past Thanksgiving again, even though they had that little rough stretch before the playoffs.
Getting healthy at the right time is a big deal. So we just talked about that with Vernon and everyone else. I mean, I'm looking through just kind of grabbing pairings as I can just look through them, like who's playing who. Trying to get in on Nolan's wide coverage area too. We can get to that right now, though. I think we need to talk like, what are we looking at next week, guys? I know we don't have the schedule finalized, but I know for me personally, I want to know where Windthorst and Lindsay is. That's kind of the game I'm circling right now. I want to see the Trojans up against what could be some really good competition coming out of a great district. And Lindsay made some noise really early. What are you guys looking at next week?
Yeah, I'm Windthorst. Lindsay's kind of high on my list. I wouldn't mind seeing Holiday, just because I think it's fun when a four seed makes a run. I don't know if I can get down to Denton on a school night and do that though. And Holiday's going to play like a 3 hour. Holiday's games are contractually obligated to play last 3 hours. Like they can't play hey, Graham Godley tonight got it done. We were done at 9:05. I mean, I'm telling you, the bands played together as one. There wasn't even two halftime shows. Like everybody was in on this to get this game done quickly. Godley was starting to run the ball, even though they were down by 30 points. It worked out well. But yeah, I think Graham Lubbock Cooper Liberty would be a fun game. I don't know if I'll get to that or not, but I kind of want to see Lubbock Cooper's Liberty's offense is really good, and I kind of want to see Graham's defense. I want to see strength for strength there. So I think that could be fun. Um, I think Jacksboro's a favorite again. I think Holiday's a favorite. And that Henrietta Calisburg game intrigues me as well. Heard that might be in Capel on Friday, but I haven't heard anything. When I heard that, I texted Coach Jones, and he hadn't said anything's finalized yet. But Henrietta Calisburg could be interesting. I think that's a pointsy game. I think that's a game. I mean, both teams just scored 50, 60 points. I think that's going to be a game that is kind of a shootout. I don't know how many yards Coleman had tonight, but I heard he broke a 40 and an 80-yard touchdown run. He probably saw Lexington Reese last night have like almost 400 yards. I was like, oh gosh, this guy's coming for me. I got to, widen that lead up. But how crazy is this to have two guys having the years they're having and they're only sophomores? To me, that's pretty cool. That's like one of the best storylines of the year. Our best two running backs in the area are sophomore guys that should be doing this for the next couple of years as well.
Yeah, exactly. Those two guys, they are the two leading. Both of them should hit 2,000 yards rushing, which I'm sure Coleman actually did tonight. And Lexington Reese is right there on the verge of a 2,000-yard rushing season. Yeah, no, it's exciting to think that those two guys are just sophomores and what they could be putting up. I mean, those final yardage totals in which you've kept, the history of yardage totals, all-time leading rushers for this area. And, man, continue on that path, and we're going to have those two guys' names up there as well. Nolan, let you unmute yourself again here. I know you've just been kind of a spectator tonight a little bit as you're chauffeuring that bum
He's getting us
around
home safely. He's getting us home safely. You can't put a price on that.
That's right. But Nolan, yeah, what are you looking for next week?
Can you hear me first off before I start? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so the game at the top of my list is probably Paradise and Dalhart. I'm unsure exactly where that game is. Coach Cook is listening to this. Please put that game in Childress, not Lubbock. If that game's in Childress, I probably will make my way out that way, eat some Bevos, and burn in again. But yeah, this time last year, I went out there and watched Paradise down in Bushland play, and that was a fantastic matchup. So kind of up there going off just photo memory of the brackets I made of some of the outside teams y'all don't cover that I do. Decatur won last night. They should be matched up with Paris. Last time I looked, Paris was beating Dallas Lincoln. So that should be the second round matchup for them. Crum stayed unbeaten tonight. They took down Ferris. They will be matched up with Athens. That's going to be a really good game. We saw Athens beat Gilmer tonight. Sanger also won tonight. They've got a tough matchup next week against number one Carthage. And that should be the rest of the teams. Besides down in 2A, you have Wellington, Munster. That's in Burke, as we said earlier ago. Lindsay's matched up with Winthorst. So a lot of good games next week. But if I was a betting man, I would probably say if Paradise and Dalhart's out in Childress, that's where I go.
It's you mentioned Athens Athens almost beat Carthage. Let's keep that in mind too. So Athens is a really good team, a threat in that region. So really tough second round draws for that district as a whole. I'm gonna put up a quote of a message here from Brett Ming. He's asking what the over under is of three games at Memorial next week. He's putting the over under at 3 for games at Memorial next week. I'm going to say under.
I'm going to go under because
some have fallen through already.
Tascosa always plays there. Tascosa always plays there, and they're not. They're playing Aledo in Big Spring, your hometown.
That's right.
So no Tascosa, and if Amarillo's not playing there, there's not going to be.
Amarillo High lost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they aren't playing there, so like that knocks out a potential because Amarillo High plays there a lot. It sounded like Burnett West Plains was going to play at Memorial, but ended up at Our Park, so that's another game. It's definitely going to be under. I hope there's a game or two there. I mean, it's always a good place to play, but we haven't heard of any games yet. I'm sure we'll hear of something here pretty soon. Maybe we can get
Winthorst and Lindsay was a possibility for there. But
that would be nice.
I don't know if that's going to come through. Yeah, that would be real nice. But yeah, Amarillo High, which has been a talking point across the state with with what happened to them, having to forfeit games, and they get into the coin toss. They lost 77-76 tonight to El Paso El Dorado. So, wow, just on the score itself. So, yeah,
I would read.
we
I would
don't
read a book.
go ahead.
I would read a book of Amarillo's last like week and a half. Like if you want to write a
Right?
book of like all the behind the scenes stuff and all the like how this happened and how it came out, like there's and the coin toss, and I would read that book if Lance is watching, which he's probably not.
No.
Write that book of the 70 and then 77, 76. That's pretty wild. So that
Yeah.
sucks. At the same time, I'm glad like that El Paso school that got screwed having to play Amarillo, which normally it should get an easier win, easier game. I am glad, I guess, that they got a win. Because that's tough for them. They deserved a better, not as good of a team as Amarillo. But that was a crazy
Yeah.
score. The Gilmore Athens score was pretty high scoring. Did Abilene Cooper come back and beat its El Paso team, Chapin? Because it was
did. Yeah,
down. It was down for most of that game. And so that was Cooper ended up living to see another day. Yeah.
Anson upset or upset. I say upset in quotations. And upset Ozona. I'm going to put that one out there. Anson kind of in that region for us, and that was one I thought could happen. I just was never that impressed with what Ozona was bringing. I thought the schedule was really light, and Anson's a good team. Man, that's a 4 seed in a district that includes Stanford, Cisco, and Hawley. Come on.
Anson was state ranked like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So
yes. Yeah.
I will say this, and so I care about history a lot in the state of Texas, and Kenneth Hall's record was at the verge of going down, his single season rushing record by the Arizona running back, and he needed 550 yards going into the night. So really, if they played 2 games, you might think he might get it. And I don't know what he ended up having, but they only scored 14 points. So Kenneth Hall's record is safe for another year.
For another year, yeah.
For another year. Until Cruz Coleman and Lexton Reese come along next year.
That's right. Let them get at it. Mike Ruschenberg posting some stats for us on for Winthorst here too. Of course, he's our Winthorst statistician. But yeah, Brock Belcher, another huge game, 6 TDs, 308 passing, had 107 rushing and a passing yard too. Aiden Stark, the big benefactor tonight, 141, 2 TDs. But yeah, Hunter Anderley, what a great story that is. Winthorst got a couple of those great injury type stories this year. To get off on that real quick, but those, we thought his season was done just a couple of weeks ago, and now he's back out there and he's rushed for over 300 yards in the last 2 weeks combined. So congrats to him. But man, guys, I think we're going to put
Brock
a bow.
Belcher, hold on.
Go ahead.
Quick, Brock Belcher, if that's 6 touchdowns, I believe he entered with 46 tonight. So that gives him 52 touchdowns. The area record, which Tucker Horn set, and then Hunter Jones tied last year, Holiday, is 54. So sometime in the first half of the Lindsay game next week, Brock Belcher might be setting an area record. Just throwing that out there. So,
yeah, another reason to catch Winthorst and Lindsay next week. Well, guys,
we
I'm going to put a bow on this one.
We're pulling into town, so that's great timing. That's awesome.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you guys can get home and
we're about to make the exit for my house, so couldn't time it up any better. But
right
hey, keep on
well,
following us on social media because I expect to get some playoff pairings pretty soon. Cityview gets Gunner. I don't know when that's going to be, but that's a tough matchup. But yeah, we'll have all these playoff pairings by tonight, tomorrow morning. And thanks for tuning in again. Sorry, I'm driving in a car, but I'm glad we had the show. Glad we had some good victories to write about.
Yeah, so we are going to like I said, put it out. Thank you to our sponsors. We're going to thank them on the way out, and we'll see you guys next week on Falls Friday night. Tonight's broadcast of Falls Friday Night was brought to you by Arrowhead Roofing. For more than 25 years, Arrowhead Roofing has been Texoma's trusted name for roofing, siding, gutters, and more. When storms hit or it's time for an upgrade, call the team Texoma has relied on since 1999. Arrowhead Roofing, the exterior experts. And Macaulay Landscapes. For 21 years, Macaulay Landscapes has been keeping Wichita Falls beautiful. Visit MacaulayLandscapes.com to learn more about their full range of services. Macaulay Landscapes, making Wichita Falls look its best since 2003. That wraps up another edition of Falls Friday Night. Every score, every story, every Friday.